So these are all AI based, means once we trained our machine, so it will give input with the same way. Then one more aspect come into the picture. What is AI, how it's work? Because the one and the most important aspect, until unless we won't train, machine learning is one aspect. Until unless we won't train our machine, it won't work. So the way we trained our machine, so that way it will work with the same efficiency, whatever way we train those equipment. So AI required some kind of specialized hardware for sure, and some instruction based things we call as softwares. For instance, you have used ChatGPT, and if not, I will request all the participants after this class, so please go to the Google and put ChatGPT into that one, and then see how this artificial intelligence can do wonders for you. So one more important aspect, it's not a single programming language job. There are several language it's involved in this one. It's Python, R, Java, C++, and Julia, and even more. Some has already been added, like Perl, and these keep are adding. So many languages are being added, and they will be keep adding all the time to improve the things. One more aspect that is chatbot, that is feed. For example, we ask some kind of information in text, we can learn and can exchange with the pupil. And one more thing, now at this point of time, by this AI tool, we can easily recognize the images. If you upload your images on the Google, ask what are the similar images, you can find all on the web, whatever the similar images are available. So based on that information can be obtained. So up to this time, this information or this way was doing in medical science or in our army-based process, but now the things has come to agriculture. So we will try in this class to show you whatever information has been achieved in terms of artificial intelligence, how it can be used to improve our agriculture part. So one of the important aspects we have to see in agriculture information system, the first and foremost thing is our plant, or we call as field or crops. So then we have to find out how that information can be taken from the crop. That can be done with the help of sensors. And the second aspect is that what kind of software we want to use this information. So once that software get that metadata about that, all the plots, or we call as field, that being feeded as a data along with the meta information from where it has been captured. For instance, we have taken for wheat, so it will say that wheat at what stage after say 10 days of sowing, 20 days of sowings, or we can find out which wheat variety we are taking. So all those things are come into the picture, and then AI come into this picture. The information we feed through software for this crop, AI will find out what was the plant height, how much green was that, or several plant parts can be identified, how many leaves were there, how many ears were there. So in that way, we reach a point based on these decision we can implement, yeah, these are the best varieties, or how best or which way we actually want to use this information of agriculture, whatever we are obtaining from AI. Then these are the familiar views for us, because AI, how it's working, you might come across with the disease detection, that early blight, late blight, then we have leaf spots are there. So once we able to train our computers, or we call as machines, so if I tell my machines that these spots have a leaf disease, so once that disease will come in my image, it will instantly explain to me that it has some issue with, or it has similarity with the leaf spot disease. So in that way it can give those information. And even if you take this whole area, it's a large area, and for instance one has to ask to go and to find out some information, it's not all that easy. So in that way, drones or Internet of Things can be a really accessory help which can really improve agriculture part. So that is deep learning aspect in what we call as one component of AI in agriculture. Then one more thing, that it's not the case that we are just focusing for farmers aspect. It's also from the plant research aspect also, that we can easily predict the yield, even the crop in the field. Based on that AI based models, we can find out the yield, we can find how many ears are there, how many spikes. It's all depend upon kind of resolution we have for our sensors, so that can be plant weight or biomass can be estimated. So it's still not the case in agriculture. One aspect for the farmer side, it's also help us in science, that some information can be used using the AI tools. And one more aspect, that because there is always one aspect that at each crop, for instance, I take this as maize crop, what is the leaf area, chlorophyll, biomass, nitrogen, all those things. If I have to go to the field to acquire this information, it's required large human intervention. So with the low cost, cover area is more, and it can be done in a short duration time. In this one, AI also play a key role. And if I put more emphasis with this one, that how this AI can be useful in whole agriculture aspect, that it can use to breed the seeds best, then feeding crops which are actually required, monitoring the soil health, the key component. A plant has to grow, soil is the one which play a key role. So monitoring of soil health is key. And you could see the area in India is so large, to go at each field and to acquire that information manually is not all that easy. So in that one, AI come into the picture. Then protecting the crops, as I explained in the last slides. For instance, in a leaf I find a hole, or if my leaf start drying from edges, so what could be this disease, and then we can find out what could be the solution for this one. And then harvesting, because we have seen that now the one example in case of apple, when we harvest apple from the say plant or the tree, it has to be reddish in color. So if we trained our say robots that you have to pick red parts, and that red intensity we can specify, so the robot will go to a field or where these apple trees are there, and it will match how much red my apple is. If it is around that part, so it will take that apple and put in the basket. So these kind of efforts have been done, especially in artificial intelligence, that can be really helpful to improve our agriculture in several aspects. So slightly keeping those things in mind, what could be the better way, or what are the actual way, where for instance we are focusing to find pest part, because in that one we can easily find which are the insects, how what is their infection pattern, for instance. Then robotics, as I told, the harvesting, through which the labor, these manual labor can be reduced. Precision farming, everybody now doing farming that is in precise mode. In which part of the field I need to have a laser leveler. So these are all precise information, and in that one AI come into the picture. It match the level of the soil in the field, and then give the instruction to the tractor that how much soil has to be taken from and how much has to be placed. And even the forecasting, nowadays we can get 3 hours or 5 hours before that rain is coming or not. So in that way, AI coming in big way. And the best part, everybody will appreciate this one called drones. Now drones are so common that a common man can, or even a farmer can buy it and can use for several purposes. So I will try to focus more on drones part, because it's the next generation technology which really helping the farmers, and even that the AI based tools which are being developed, how best they can be used. In that one, drones play a key role. So just coming to that one, what could be added to the drones to see the things, because drone is a vehicle, so it can be added with images, or the we call as cameras. What camera can be on that drone which can acquire those images? It can be RGB camera, It can be a multi-spectral, which might have a range of 300 nanometer to 2500 nanometer, and even it match hyper spectral, which has two range called SWARE and VNIR. Then we have LIDAR. You will be astonished to know it's the one from the drone itself. It can estimate the plant height from the top itself. It send a beam of what we call as laser beam, and through this it can find out where actually the plant height is and where is the surface. So the difference it's calculate as plant height. And the thermal one, in the COVID time, I hope you have seen that whenever we go, everybody used to come and put a gun-like structure like this, and he or she able to find out whether my health is good or not. If my temperature is high, it means my health is not good, and if my temperature is low, so my health is fine. So based on that, the same thing apply for the plant itself, so we can find out that much information also. The one sensors which for which I always have some kind of fascination, we call as the RGB one, and it's in our eyes, because seeing is believing. What we could see, that can be believed. So it can be used for many things, and the information generated from this sensor is the main which is being used for agriculture purpose, and that's information is furthermore being added for artificial intelligence. Then just as I told, that the focus right now is on the drone. Our own honorable government, our own honorable prime minister sir also emphasize that we have to work more to use or to extend this information to the farmers, how best these drones can reach to the farmers and what they try to do. The best part is that we can control from a distance. There is no point we can go in the air itself, and these drones are very useful in surveillance of my field crop, traffic monitoring, weather monitoring, and for agriculture purpose, weather and the surveillance of my field, which crop, what is the infection, and how, for instance, my plant is about to dry. So that kind of information, that irrigation is required, it's really helpful. So to add to that one, how best these drones can be used, they can be help to monitor how much nutrients is required, then water and pest, that kind of information can be obtained by these drones. What kind of chemical application we want to be, because we have to apply that chemical for whole field. But now with this application, for instance, we can find out only this portion of my field required this. So this drone will find out this location, will spray only that part and come back, because I can save one aspect labor, second aspect the expensive chemical. So in that way it can be very helpful. Land and building management, it's really useful. And then inventory in terms how many crops or how many trees are there, so all those information, and especially in the village area, to find out the say information about the land endings, or what could be the area, or what are the land holding size or land holdings edges. So all those informations can be obtained and can be kept in digital form. Then one more important aspect, that we apply urea based on the greenness. So that kind of information, though we find that sometimes some varieties are there that leaf are still not so green, but it's not required urea. But to seeing that that thing, we find that we need to add that urea. So there are ways by which, and there are sensors available which really help to find out how much nitrogen in the soil and how much in the plant. So that the difference, if we able to find, so we can provide the required amount of urea, not additional one. So that specific addition of what we call as urea can be added, and even damage to the crops that can be easily estimated by these drone based sensors. Then one more important aspect, to find the tree growth, because we can see the tree from side how it is. I can roam around this tree at the base, but I have no idea how much higher canopy it has, how it's look like from top, and all those information. And even I want to see the expansion of my plant canopy. For instance, this plant is weak and this plant is healthy, and even it can be used to count down how many plants are there. So those kind of information, and once we develop this map, only thing is that we have to ask the drone to go and to check the map. For instance, one plant get dry down, so instantly we can find out in a large orchard very easy. So these kind of informations can be obtained through artificial intelligence. And then one more thing, plant counting, it's might required for orchards, but still nowadays it has been used with some spread crops also, where we have some gaps. For instance, we are going for orchard for say, citrus or maybe apple. It has been used, and being especially for papaya also it has been used, that how many plants are there, because in papaya we have seen that infection, especially for virus, goes very fast, so we are not able to find information on time how many plants are active over there. Then one more important aspect about the plant health, that's very important. For instance, my plant if are healthy, so you could find that spots are there, blue parts are more. But when the plant are not healthy, for instance, here we have stress plant, so you could find that we can get those information is more blue, it means more amount of water is there. And if we find these kind of information, it shows that the activity of plant has gone. So this kind of information can be obtained by AI based. And once we train our model, that only just thing we have to do, we have to just take the images, and based on that it can give all those informations. Big data, obviously the kind of information we are getting from the field, it's huge, and that has to be handled by computer only. So one more important aspect, the farmer side, if you see that the site specific agriculture, because in the whole field we won't find the same gradient for NPK. So once we have that spectral signature for the soil, we can find out which part of this field has less N and more P and K. So based on that, we can ask the drone to go, and based on these inputs about the layout and where we need to, for instance, one more aspect, for instance, we want to see that the weed spray has to be done. Based on the identification of weed, where the weed actually exists, it will go and find out those weeds. Once the map is prepared, we will ask specific chemical which one, which this weed means that chemical work on weed, so it will go and spray on that one, and we could save time and even the chemical which we use for spraying on the weed. So in that way, AI is doing wonderful job. Few information in science we do, as you might be thinking, how that what we call as yield prediction can be done. Through this AI, we can easily count the year numbers, and once we have that year numbers accuracy part, that can be, for instance, I find 12 years, 10 years, and then based on that we also can go to the spikelet part. And once we have that spike and spikelet, we can find how many seeds are there. So based on that, we can predict that the range of the yield should be in this one. So we able to find the year number from the image itself, and that can be taken from the field by a drone, and very easily. The second one, we try to do that how healthy my plant is. So we have to train our machine that how these leaf is green, yellow, or more yellow or brown. So if this range reach, means my plant is dead. So in that way we can find out how healthy my plant is, and once we apply this information, we can easily find out which part of the field is more active and which part not. And even we can find out, if we keep taking those images, we can easily find out from a part, for instance, which part is active, which is not, how many years are there. So not only that AI is playing role in the field itself, it's up to us how we train the machine, and once the machine is trained, that can be do wonders. So that stage showing that already my plant is dry, and though we can see these things through eyes, but we cannot quantify how many leaves are dry, how many ears are dry, how many are means green in color. So that kind of information, or maturity, because if we have to go to the field, we keep seeing those seeds, whether milk is there or not, but through this we cannot go each part of the field. For instance, we have to see in a field condition whether it's reached for maturity or not. So it can be done in a faster way here. So these are the few values which show that how accurately we can reach up to that conclusion. And even stage wise. Every day we take the data, we can find out how my plant is growing, and we can find out, for instance, if we stop watering, how my plant behaves. So very precise information can be obtained by this. But still AI can do wonders, but it's a dual sword. Dual sword means one edge is giving wonderful output, but in the other side, that one extent is that we required extended battery life, because drone can hardly run for maximum 20 minutes, and how much payload it can take, it's also key. Then we have to see that some autonomous, some automatic, there are ways, but still we have to find out that it should be remain in our control. It's not the case, whatever we feed, it's keep doing that one, because every place has a scope of improvement, whether robust, because the kind of information sometimes may not match, but still safety issue come into the picture. So we are with the dual sword. On one aspect, AI is doing wonder, but we have to be very cautious that we have to use it. The AI should not use us. So these are the few things, and that's all. I hope I give you some information that might be useful, how that AI can be useful for agriculture and for the common use in our fields. It's all from my side. Thank you.